My best friend, 31F, accidentally spilled wine on my wife, 32F, during our wedding. My wife's now demanding that I, 33M, cut ties with her. Emmy and me met through a mutual friend in 2012 during a pub quiz at our university. I was quite attracted to her and even confessed to this at the end of the evening. She told me she had a boyfriend, however, but mentioned she was flattered all the same. Fast forward 3 years later, I meet another girl, Eliza, at the Edinburgh Fringe, and we just clicked immediately. Politics, music, cinema, or whatever subject we discussed, there was a spark that I'd never felt with anyone else. Her personality was so vivid, and spending time with her just felt so right. It's hard to describe this feeling, but I'll try. The first impression I had of her was that she was so knowledgeable and enthusiastic, with an intensity that I had never experienced before. We got off well from the start, and from that point onwards, we were inseparable, and I was dead certain of our future together, long before we got engaged. Now here, Emmy enters the picture again. I started a new job at an advertising firm with a position in web design. It turned out that she was working for the same firm as I, and as she was one of the only people I knew there, we talked quite a lot. At first it was a little awkward given our history, especially considering that she was now married to the boyfriend she was dating back then. But as we both had partners at this point, it couldn't hurt to be friends. Turns out reconnecting with her was a great idea, as I feel like our chemistry as friends superseded any potential we might have had as a couple. She's clever and has a bit of a cheeky personality, while I'm quite dry and sarcastic myself. This creates a pretty fun dynamic between the two of us, and we often have a great time just fooling around. Now there is an issue though. Eliza doesn't seem to feel the same way. Sometimes, when it's been the three of us, she has expressed a feeling of being left out, and she often feels that Emmy is making fun of her. Honestly, I don't see the issue. It's just our dynamic and way of fooling around with each other. But there have been a couple of nights where Eliza has been in tears because of something that Emmy said. One time, Eliza got out of her seat in order to get some snacks, and Emmy sat down next to me as she wanted to show me a video on YouTube. When Eliza came back, she saw Emmy leaning next to me and was upset for the rest of the night. Things like this happen every now and then, and I feel like there might be some jealousy at play. I've tried to talk about this to Eliza many times, but each time she assures me that she is not jealous. Now things really got heated on our wedding, as I feel the stress of it all really got to Eliza. During the reception, Emmy bumped into her, and red wine spilled all over her dress. She was bawling about this the entire evening. We're now on our honeymoon, and Eliza has said she hopes for a fresh start and feels like Emmy might have spilled her wine on purpose. She's suggesting that I cut ties with her, and if I'm honest, I'm not so sure I want to. Where should I go from here? Update 1. I posted here recently, looking for guidance on how to deal with my wife's anxiety and feelings revolving around my friend, and it seems like I might have been completely inconsiderate of Eliza's feelings. I have not taken her feelings about Emmy's serious enough, and it's become clear to me that there might be a possibility that Emmy is really doing this to annoy my wife. I sat down with Eliza and we had an in-depth conversation about the wedding incident. I got her to describe the event step by step, and this is what she told me. I was leaving the lobby into the dining venue, and Emmy was a little tipsy at this point and stumbled from the bar. She was initially walking slower, but it looked like she sped up when she saw me. We collided into each other, and she pulled an ashamed face and made a stupid joke before scurrying away. She seemed embarrassed in the moment, but she didn't apologize to me. My wife also said to me that it just paints a picture of habitual microaggressions from Emmy that have festered into anxiety whenever she's around. She said to me that there is always weird behavior or uncomfortable comments, and she doesn't want to continue being in a situation where her husband brings someone into her home who resents her simply for existing. All of this was a real gut punch to me. I had always felt like it was just jealousy about me fancying Emmy, but it seems my wife is really torn up about this. She even said that the honeymoon has been miserable for her, because the memory has been swirling around in her mind, and she feels like I'm going to downplay or dismiss it. No one should feel like they can't just be themselves, especially not at home. I didn't realize what a dummy I'd been, and I apologized to my wife and decided to phone up Emmy to confront her about the wedding incident. And let's just say, the phone call did not go well. Basically, I told her that Eliza was really hurt by the wedding dress incident, and had been hurt by her behavior for a long time already. I told her that I felt she should apologize to my wife, and that if she can't bring herself to apologize, she could at least pay towards getting the stain removed. Now, to say that Emmy was taken aback would be an understatement. She was completely blindsided, asking me what was wrong with her interactions and what made me suddenly reach out about this all. I mentioned some of the comments she made about my wife, and also mentioned the wedding incident. I told her what my wife had told me, and this got her really upset. She started shouting that she never intended to hurl wine at her dress, and she fled from her because she didn't want to talk at that moment. She said that she feels like my wife hates her, and she doesn't know how to go about it. She also started pointing out times when my wife had been funny towards her, and I basically cut her off and said that she shouldn't turn the conversation the other side. At this point, she started laughing. She does this when she's anxious about something. And she hung up. Her husband later phoned me, informing me that he would pay for the damages. I told him that I appreciated him reaching out to me, but that I needed to know where Emmy stood regarding to what I had told her earlier. He told me that Emmy makes jokes whenever she's anxious or uncomfortable, but that the wedding dress incident is something he wants to work out as much as I do. A few days after the call, they ended up paying towards dry cleaning, whilst apologies were made to my wife. My wife was relieved that Emmy's husband was so understanding, but she wasn't thrilled about Emmy's reaction. My wife has suggested we try marriage counseling, which shocked me at first, as we've only been married a month. But I decided that maybe this would be a great way forward, because if she feels we need counseling for this issue, then it is clearly a problem. So yeah, me and Eliza are going to try marriage counseling, and my future with Emmy is uncertain at this point in time. I'll update when I know more. Update 2. So, a few things have happened in the meantime. It all started a few days ago when we suddenly received a gift box with an apology for my wife. The box mentioned it was from Emmy, but when my wife opened the box, all it contained were some soap bars and a white plain underpants. These soap bars were no luxurious or specially perfumed bars. They were just regular, run-of-the-mill soaps. There were even several ones that didn't even smell of anything, really. It was such a weird gift. Also, the underpants was no lingerie, not anything lacy, but just a plain pair of white pants. It just didn't make sense to me, because if they were meant to be for Eliza, they were at least 6 sizes too big. At this point, I was so confused that I decided to call Emmy, asking why she had sent us these gifts. So apparently she thought it would be funny to pull of another joke by sending us a fake apology gift, as it was her opinion that we were overreacting over all the things I mentioned to her before. I told her that I had given her the chance to make it right, but that she would rather insult us again. This made her lose her cool, claiming that Eliza's jealousy has crippled our friendship, and she was sick of having to flatter her insecurities. Emmy also said that none of this would be happening if Eliza knew how to take a joke. And at that point, I just told her that a joke isn't ruining her wedding dress or making her feel insecure all the time. She responded with saying that I sold out my principles for a girl who's threatened by other women, and laid down the phone. Shocked and taken by surprise, I told my wife what had happened and assured her that I would no longer have contact with Emmy, as I have no hopes that she will change her mind. So yeah, it seems that our friendship wasn't that real in the end, because if your friendship falls apart the moment you try to protect your loved ones, then that friendship wasn't that strong to begin with. It's just a shame that this means I'll also lose contact with her husband, as he was quite a great guy. Oh well, at least my wife is feeling better, and in the end, that is the most important thing.